Robert Smith, welcome back to BBC Radio 6 Music.
Hello.
It's the eve of Songs of a Lost World's release, and the excitement is high. I think this should be a national holiday. What do you think?
Every day's a national holiday in my house, so I wouldn't notice.
How are you feeling as you're about to set these songs free into the world then, Robert?
A strange mixture of relief, I think, and probably excitement. I really am taken aback at how attention has kind of turned to us on the back of, like, I think, we've been doing a couple of years of 22 and 23. We played a lot of shows and we were playing some of these songs, and so they don't seem like new songs. I've kind of forgotten that they're new songs, and it's only really like completing the album a couple of months ago with 3 songs that we've never played that I realised that there's a new album. It didn't feel real until that point, so only probably like 3 months ago, and even then I'm not quite sure because I didn't want to play it to anyone, just a handful of people, and everyone's like, yeah, that's really good, but I'm thinking, like, what are they going to say? It's like we played all this song, it's okay. But it's very gratifying, kind of seeing the excitement that surrounds the band. I'm not being, I never would have imagined that it would be at this sort of level. I really didn't. It's like, I thought we'd kind of drifted a long way away from where we are at this moment. So, yeah, it's great.
And you've spoken about this album, and as you mentioned, played songs from it several times. A few times you've mentioned it when you said that you shouldn't have. You were excited about the prospect of a new album. So what's the moment of coming together for you? Is it now as the album is released, or was it when you were listening to the whole thing?
It's been sort of strange because when we recorded everything in 2019, so the band recorded 20-something songs, and what stopped us from completing it at the time was really my inability to decide what I wanted to sing about and just really writing words. I wrote lots of words and everything I sang was rubbish, and I was like, oh, what's the point, So we spent 2019 playing festivals. It was great, and I had such a good time. We were probably some of the best shows we've ever played as a band. And at the end of 2019, I thought, right, I'll turn my mind to finishing these songs off. And then COVID happened. You'd think that'd be the perfect time to get everything done. What else am I going to do? And actually, for like 18 months, I did absolutely nothing to do with the album. I just read books, wandered around that side. It's an awful time. I lost, the entire older generation of my family died in the first few months of the first round of COVID. So it was not really sweetness and light, but when I look back on it, it's a really, really strange period, and we emerged from it, and the others like, have you finished what you were doing? I was like, I honestly haven't even started. So we picked up, and I thought, let's just play the new songs in front of people. Let's just rehearse. Let's go on tour. So I booked all the dates, and I thought, we'll play the new album to people as we go along. We'll introduce new songs, and by the end of it, I'll know that it all works. Which is kind of what we did, although we only got to 5 songs. We did play, I think, 7 new songs, maybe 8, but they haven't made it onto this album. They'll be on the next one. So the 3 songs that we've never played in front of people that are on this one are really because Mary wanted them.
Oh, yeah.
She kind of picked their own in order because I was finishing songs. I wanted to finish everything because then I thought that's only fair to all the songs. Like they're all little children. I thought I don't want to pick favourites. So I thought, well, I'll finish them all and then I'll choose and
Mary gets the final word.
Well, she was like, "You're never going to finish all these songs. It's like it's another 3 years until you finish all the songs." So I was finishing the really big doom and gloom ones, and she was like, do some of the other ones. So she was right, because I think I would have ended up with something which is a bit too much, actually. So some of the songs that we played on tour, like It Can Never Be the Same was one of them, and I think one was called Another Happy Birthday. They will be released. They will come up, but they'll be on the next thing because I'm almost done with the next one. Weirdly enough, it's like buses, isn't it? And each one they're knocking me over. But
head down now for Christmas then to finish the next record.
Yeah, no, seriously, it's like we sort of had an agreement in place. So the others are just like, why can't you just write the words? Why can't you just write the words? It's like it's the one thing as I've grown older that I've found much harder to do, to write words that I want to sing. I can write words, but I don't really feel like singing them. So to arrive at that point where I think it's worth singing these songs, it has become really, really hard, I have to admit.
You mentioned the death and the loss in your family. How much did writing these songs help you on a human level? Because alone sets the tone for this deeply emotional record, and there's loss and there's love. Did it help you?
Yeah, I mean, it's kind of hard because I didn't want the album to be too much. Like the tone of the album, I wanted it to be about loss and change. And I always keep coming back to this thing that it's like it essentially is really quite a doom and gloom record. I just can't escape it, because it's like when I was writing, when I was singing, that's sort of like that's how I felt. I think what helped me was singing the songs, and certainly singing the songs in front of people. Was hugely cathartic. I know it's a cliche, but I mean, going on stage and singing "I Can Never Say Goodbye" in front of people night after night, it was a wonderful moment for me. And also, I think like engages an audience. If you can tap into that, you just suddenly feel something. You feel a connection. It's like, and that's the reason why I still do it. It's like to experience that sort of communal moment with a crowd. It's like, there's something really, really wonderful about it. And going back to like the running order and stuff, like my idea of the album was actually just like doom doom doom, like, and it was Mary that said to me, no, your best albums are the ones that just have a couple of bits where it's not that. So there's a song called Drone No Drone got put on there, and All I Ever Am, just a little bit more energy and a bit more upbeat. Nothing pop, but it leads you into, so yeah, it hangs together really well. And I have enjoyed singing it, and I've enjoyed singing the songs that will be on the next album. It sounds ridiculous. I sound like the next album, but I am more than halfway there with it. So yeah.
This album's cover artwork, I think, fits the record beautifully. It's human, but it's enormous and devastating as well, like the songs and the themes on the record. Can you tell us a little about it?
The artwork has become, in my head, has become the album, and it was an older person who gave me a copy of a book that was signed by an artist called Janez Pirnat, who is a Slovenian sculptor, and it was she's Slovenian, and I'd never really looked through it. I mean, I'd kind of seen the inscription on it. I thought, that's nice, and it was just in a pile of books. And during COVID, I was trying to read everything that I had. I thought, like, if I do one thing, I've got to finish. I've got to read War and Peace. I've got to read all these things. And I came to this book, and I started looking through it, and I saw the plate with this bagatelle, it's called, which was done in 1975. This sculpture of a head. All these sculptures are brilliant. They're absolutely brilliant. They all have this, around that time anyway, when he was sculpting, they have this theme of it's either like something emerging out of rock, or the rock is kind of like eating it up, kind of thing. They're really, really powerful. And I'm not really an arty person. I don't go to galleries and kind of like go, But something about it, I thought, wow, that's it. That's the album cover. I didn't even know at the time like what the album was called. Really. I thought it was called Live from the Moon. And in my mind, it was going to be just a moonscape, So I looked him up, and he had actually died on that day. And I was very disturbed by it, if I'm honest, because I don't really buy into that kind of thing either. But yeah, I just thought this has to be the cover of the album. So I got in touch with his widow eventually, left a respectful gap, and I own it now. I've got it at home.
You see it every day?
Yeah, sitting in my room. It's a beautiful piece of sculpture, but there is just something about it. It's such a plaintive thing, and I think it's really clever, because actually in real life it almost doesn't exist. You can barely see it, and it's only when light shines on it in a certain way it throws itself into relief, and it's like it's there. It suddenly emerges, and that's what I really loved about it. And it's you kind of project onto it, like you've just said. It's just like it's this, because it's like when you put two eyes on anything in front of babies and they smile. It has that effect. You kind of like, you can't help but respond to it. It's a strange thing. So
it's very powerful, very powerful. We're about to hear your set recorded exclusively for BBC Radio 6 Music. We filmed it for iPlayer. It's in black and white. I should point out that's not a budget thing. Radio 2's is in full colour, but I think it was your suggestion to film it in black and white?
Yes, well, it was given a straight choice, like change your top or film it in black and white. So we went for the black and white option. I thought, like, if we change our tops, we're just going to change into black and white anyway. So why don't we film it in black and white?
We can't wait to watch it and hear it very shortly. Was it fun choosing the set list for this special Set for Six music, Robert?
We went through a lot of different iterations of the set, actually. We had quite a few disagreements early on in rehearsals as to what we should do for the Six music set, because it's like drive time. And they're like, oh, people will be driving home and like they don't want to listen to like doom and gloom. And I was like, well,
we do though.
Yeah, I mean, it's not hopefully only going to be listened to at drive time. So I wanted something which was part of what we're doing, and I feel, you know, so the Radio 2 thing was much more kind of like upbeat and I like the black and white idea. I like just doing some of the more emotional, something like the stuff that people don't really know, perhaps outside of Cure fans obviously know, but I thought just, you know, some of the stuff we do when we play a 2.5 hour show, you know, it's that sort of stuff, and it often gets overlooked and left behind, and I love it.
I love you call it drive time. It's actually mid-morning for you, isn't it?
Yeah, but I still sit in the car and listen to it. I don't go anywhere. But
as you look ahead, Robert, to 50 years of The Cure, and your big next birthday will be your 70th, are you comfortable with the years ahead?
I'm not going to get to my 70th birthday.
Or are you dreading it?
I honestly don't. When I turned 60, I promised myself that I would stop thinking about, you know, anniversaries and upcoming stuff. It's kind of hard. The Cure thing, the Cure anniversary of like we'll get to 50. I was kind of like, I had my tongue in my cheek a bit when I was saying all that, because I thought, well, honestly, I'd be really happy if I get to Christmas. The band's gone through an awful lot in the last year, and you know, I'm making light of it, but it becomes a thing. You are inevitably encouraged within your own self to think more about the day to day than you are about what, you know. Like, so I'm looking forward to Christmas. No, I'm not really looking forward to my 70th birthday. If we get to my 70th birthday, I'm quite happy to, like, for you to blow out the candles. But yeah, I don't think it's tempting fate. But I really just, I'm enjoying what we're doing at the moment, and I don't really see any point in looking beyond it. For me personally, finishing a second Cure album, like, I'm almost there with it, is the only thing that I've got. Once I've done that, then I should take a deep breath, and then I'll look up. But until I finish that, I'm not bothering about what comes next.
You curated Meltdown in 2018. Manics, Deftones, Nine Inch Nails, a lot of your favourite newer bands played as well. Drala, Twilight Sad, who I know you adore, The Anchoress. And Meltdown reignited something in you, did it?
Yes, it definitely did. The whole experience of not just listening to new music, but actually engaging with the people who made the music. It had an enormous effect on me. I mean, there was a point around that time, around 2018, talking about anniversaries, where I was thinking it's the 40th anniversary. It's a great time to stop. You know, it's like we're probably not going to make it to the 50th, so let's just stop at the 40th. We did the Hyde Park thing, we made a film and everything. But in the course of doing Meltdown, which was like a few months prior to that, where I was getting everyone kind of on board, and I invited the Rolling Stones, they didn't say yes. So they're the only ones that turned me down. It was great. I was like meeting all these people, like talking to all these people, and reminding myself constantly of why I love doing what I'm doing. You know, it's like why I started doing it and why I was still doing it. So,
and is it the culture? Was it the culture of being with bands and that anticipation of a next release, especially with the newer bands that you've supported over the years?
I just think that how fabulous they were and are. It really is that simple. It's like I'm still like a huge music fan. You either are or you aren't. And I mean, when I was young, I used to just, everything was about going to see bands and going to see artists. So it's like, it hasn't really changed. It's easier being me. I don't have to save up for a ticket, but actually just engaging with people. It's the same as when we're rehearsing and we use it like a big rehearsal room which has got lots of rooms in Brighton, and people come and go, and like, and you see everyone's really like excited, and because it is easy as an older band, particularly a band as old as this, just to lose sight of that, just to kind of go through the motions. So, and it's kind of down to me to make sure that we don't slide into that kind of comfortable mindset. So the others think I'm a bit of a tyrant. I think I know. I mean, they wouldn't say it, but I know they do. But you want to come off stage thinking that I couldn't have done that better.
You're here at the BBC Radio Theatre. Can I ask you, how important has the BBC been to you during your life? Because I remember you covering for John Peel towards the end of his life.
I think it was on the night he died, actually.
Yeah. I mean, you did several sessions. How important has the BBC been to you?
The BBC is enormously important. I think the way it's, in certain media, it's disparaged, and I think it's, are we going to get into like what the reason why? I mean, the first things to go are like public services, public broadcast, because they're everything that I think is great about the country that I grew up in. The BBC kind of like epitomises all that's good about Great Britain. It's derided because it's like some kind of, it's relied on by so many people around the world. Because I've been around the world, people do actually, they trust the BBC. They trust it as a brand. I mean, it's a horribly modern thing to say, but you do kind of believe the BBC. And it's dreadful that the cutbacks there, they allow a vacuum which is filled by idiocy. It's like...
But with music, like the BBC's been there since The Cure's beginning, has it?
Yes, I mean, from our own perspective, as a band, the BBC was everything. Top of the Pops and Peel sessions, and then onto like Kid Jensen, and in those days, it was the only way of reaching a wider audience for us. So and particularly with Peel in the early days, it was a lifeline for all the punk bands and the post-punk bands, because there was really no other way of getting. We played up and down the country, over and over and over, and then we started going around the world. And there were iterations of the BBC in different countries, particularly in the more sort of, I suppose, liberal-minded countries. Like Holland had a radio station which was kind of similar to the BBC. I don't know that now it's there's this kind of concession to modern media, which, I mean, the BBC obviously is everywhere. Over the years, I feel that the people running the BBC don't really understand the power of what the BBC is. They're too defensive about it. They should be much more aggressive about what a fantastic thing it is. They're always like, on the defensive. It should be much more aggressive, I think, in kind of projecting itself around the world than it is.
Congratulations on Songs of a Lost World. Thank you for the new album. We can't wait to hear what's next. And for this very special concert, it's coming up. From all of us, Robert Smith, thank you so much.
Thank you very much. Thank you.
A huge thank you to Robert Smith for taking time to talk to us. Such a pleasure to sit down and meet him.